babe. I'm babe. I'm babe. I'm babe. And it gets your face like warmed up.
Super serious.
Where nothing fun or funny ever happens.
This is a super serious thing.
I don't even like dogs.
Super serious.
Hi, everybody. Guess what? We're back.
We're back.
We didn't abandon you guys. The Super Serious Dog Podcast, hosted by Courtney and myself, Misha. Welcome back, in case you forgot. I guess we should just dive right into why we were gone for so long.
Yeah, where were we, Misha? Where did we go?
Why was it abrupt? Well,
for
part of it
2.5 months.
So first of all, it started as let's take a break for the holidays.
Sure.
But also, I am pregnant and I am super excited. But I had horrible morning sickness. I literally couldn't function for 2 months straight, pretty much Christmas through, or even before Christmas, honestly, all of December and all of January. I just, I wanted to puke my brains out all day, every day, and it sucked. But now I'm through it. So I'm back. Until I give birth.
And now you're just working on growing a baby inside you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fun and exciting adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm bodybuilding, I'm growing a human. It's going to be the ultimate test of my training skills, I swear. Is having a child.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I don't want to brag, but I did stuff too. I mean, I didn't create life and grow it inside me. But I did go on a solo camping trip with my dogs. I redid my garage.
Oh, yeah. Her garage looks so good. You should post before and after pictures on Patreon.
Ooh, maybe I will.
You should do that. I'm going to take note of it right now.
Okay.
Those notes are good.
Good job, Misha.
Yeah, your garage looks amazing. And tell everybody about your camping trip real quick, and then we'll dive into dogs and pregnancy and dogs and kids and how to prepare for that.
Oh my gosh. So my camping trip was so fun and empowering and it was everything I needed it to be. It was me and my van and my 5 dogs, and we went to a national forest.
And one screaming child or 2 screaming children.
There was a lot of screaming children.
Okay.
There was more than one. That is ultimately why I left my camping trip, because I found out I watched a lot of YouTube videos on solo camping and van camping and stuff like that. And one thing everybody talks about is knowing your own personal limits, knowing what works for you and what doesn't. I found out that screaming children are my personal limit. So I was supposed to stay 2 nights. I only stayed 1. But I really enjoyed my time. I took my time with everything. Really I had my dogs on leash for most of it. With 5 dogs, leashes can get tangled, and you're in a new environment. You're in the forest, so the dogs are obviously excited, but there's a time and a place for running around, and just really one step at a time, one problem at a time, solutions, figuring shit out. I had a fun mishap where I got wet firewood, so I couldn't start my fire.
That was a whole thing.
All kinds of cool shit. But yeah, my dogs did awesome, and I really loved it.
That's awesome. Was there anything that you were worried about, especially relating to your dogs before going?
I was worried about people. I didn't know how close I'd be to other people, and if they'd come up on me. And how
with a bunch of dogs.
With a bunch of dogs.
Puppies!
That gets out of control pretty quickly. People being all in their nature and being I want to pet the dog. Yeah. And I didn't want to go around people. I was going to get away from people and just be one with nature. So that was my concern. Luckily we had a nice campsite, but I could still see and hear people, and that was a little too close for me. Other than that, no, I don't think there's anything I was super worried about.
That's cool.
Not that I can remember now.
I feel like that camping trip, soft prepared you for this crazy ice storm that we just had.
Dude, it totally did. Had I not had because I've been wanting to go on a solo van camping trip for a while. So I've been, like I said, watching YouTube videos, learning about it, trying to be as prepared as possible. So I've, bought a lot of shit and done a lot
And
of
it was
research.
winter. It was winter, so you had to also
Yeah.
prepare to be cold. Like you couldn't just run
Right.
your van the whole time, that
Right.
kind of thing. Of course, like it was like 40 degrees cold, not 7,
Right.
which was fucking crazy. Like Jesus.
But I had during the snow apocalypse thing that happened, I did have a really good attitude about it because there was no screaming children. And so I never hit my limit of like, what can I survive? What can I tolerate? I can tolerate all of this. Fucking ice storm, fucking no power for 65 hours, no running water, just a little fireplace, 6 dogs to take care of, 3 cats that don't really get along or want to be super close to each other. It was an adventure, you know.
Yeah.
I took it as one and stayed in like super good spirits the whole time, and that was
That's awesome.
that was fun. That made it fun.
Dude, that's definitely a testament to like how much work you've put into yourself this year alone, but also cumulatively over the last couple of years.
Oh,
Because
fuck yeah.
like you would have like that would have been really tough, like for anybody.
No, I thought about like, what if I had been in a different place in my life when this happened, and I couldn't play out how it worked out well unless someone came and saved me.
But you did. You saved yourself.
But
Like y'all
I did.
very
I saved
early.
myself. I've worked on
Yeah.
preparedness. I've worked on knowing you can get through stuff. Like I did yoga when my house was like 40 degrees. I was like, I think some yoga is a good idea right now. Make my muscles
what
warm
the fuck
up.
else were we gonna do? We can't use our phones because we'll lose a charge, or else we have to sit in our van for 4 hours, like
Right.
trying to charge it like 20%. I don't know.
Oh, and I randomly taught myself how to knit 2 months ago. So I had you don't need power to knit. You can just entertain yourself. It went really well.
That's awesome. Yeah, y'all were like pretty prepared. Windows and like putting up extra curtains and covers
Yeah, we
and stuff
put
like that.
cardboard
And-
in the windows, hung the extra blankets because you can only pile so many blankets on yourself, right?
Right.
And we had a lot of extra blankets, so we used them to cover the windows and just kind of block stuff. We used one of the yoga mats to block off part of the window.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a total survival situation. Like it was not a joke.
We were able to keep our water for a while. And we were the ones like supplying water to our neighbors who didn't drip their faucets. But then eventually we had a pipe break because like it's in an outdoor storage shed that's not well insulated at all and that kind of stuff. But yeah, not having power really sucked. And we got really lucky and got to go stay with friends for a couple nights. And they fed us hot meals. Cause like normally I'd be like, yeah, I can tough this out. No big deal. But I'm pregnant.
You're
and
pregnant,
I feel
though.
very different. I feel very different now. So and I was just glad to be able to lean on so many people. Like one of my neighbors, like whenever we lost our water, she was giving us water, letting me like go over there, wash dishes. Another friend let me come over and take a shower, like that kind of stuff. So it's amazing, like the things that really like matter and don't matter. And now that I'm about to have a baby and moving, I'm like hardcore nesting and getting rid of so much shit because we're also downsizing where we're moving. We just bought a house, by the way. So yeah, it's pretty funny how you it makes you open your eyes to what's really important. Like I just wanted a few pairs of clean underwear and some warmth, and I wanted enough food for my dogs, and like that's all I really fucking needed, so yeah, little things.
Yeah, they matter. So, Miss, I'm growing a fucking child inside of me.
Like a child.
One thing that we as dog trainers get asked about all the time is how to do babies and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Babies and kids. That's not what I meant to say.
Dude, you said babies and kids, and I was like, yeah, totally.
You knew
absolutely.
exactly what I meant.
Dude, I didn't
Hopefully
even
our
catch
listeners
that.
did too. Let's go with dogs and kids.
Yeah,
Dogs
yeah.
and kids.
Dogs and kids. Yeah, totally. So I'm going to start with a quick rant because these rants are always fun, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So as a trainer, one of my least favorite things ever is when people are like, I'm due in a month. I'm going to hire a trainer now. Like, that's great that you're thinking of it before the baby
we've talked
comes.
about this before.
Oh, we have? Okay, great. Well, I'll just gloss over it.
we've touched on like, do not wait till the last fucking minute
That's
to
right.
think about what
That's
happens
right.
when the
I
baby
remember.
comes. Yeah,
That's
go
right.
on though.
But
You can
yeah,
do-
don't,
right.
because like a month isn't enough time to set habits and routines. A month is just long enough for you to start going, I'm kind of tired of doing this shit. And then on top of that, then you have a newborn come into your life and you don't sleep and that dog gets swept under the rug. And all of the training, let alone like a little extra affection and a little extra time, goes out the window. Especially depending on what kind of like pregnancy you're having and what
Can
kind
we
of birth
focus
and what
on that,
happens,
like
so.
you not sleeping part for a second?
Yes.
Because when you're not getting proper sleep,
Yeah.
like any scientist, anybody will tell you, if you're not getting proper sleep, you're not making proper decisions. You don't have.
Yep.
You're just not doing good in the decision making.
Absolutely.
Blah, 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 blah,
Department.
words.
The department.
It's been a while since we've microphone talked.
That's not true. We microphone talk on the phone all the time. Well, all the time. I mean,
All the time.
we're not like those kinds of millennials.
No.
But we do sometimes though.
We have done it, is what you're saying.
We have done it, yes.
What I'm trying to say is that you can't rely on yourself to implement a new routine and boundary with your dog who has been with you for probably a long time and can tell like, oh, she hasn't had any sleep. She doesn't mean it. Like they've seen you when you haven't had good sleep. And now you're living in like a several month period or longer. I don't know how the baby thing works, but of not good sleep. And your dog is just like, wow, shit has hit the fan in this house. Nobody knows what's going on. So you're less likely to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And on top of that, like you're just fucking tired, man. Like any motivation is also going to be just gone because you're trying to keep a thing alive.
Yeah.
This delicate, tiny fucking thing.
Not just you, not you. Trying to keep another thing alive. It's not a plant either. You can't buy a new one.
Yeah. Exactly.
People will know.
And don't get me wrong, losing a pet is devastating, but losing a child is like arguably so much worse. It's just the nature of that, right? Like I don't care as much about a goldfish that I would care about my dogs. So there's a hierarchy, right? And everybody's different, right? This is me personally. There might be somebody out there that's like, fuck
each
kids.
To each their own.
No way, dogs up here, kids down here, right? Most people I've met, though, they're not like that, including me. So some of the things that the first thing that like popped in my head was, what about B-Town? So he's a bitey, emotional
in case you
dog.
haven't been listening, what's B-Town?
He's a bitey, emotional, adorable little turd. He's a Chihuahua with just a deep burning fire in his soul. And we've come a long way together. We've talked a lot about it on the show and in other avenues as well. But like, I mean, I know as for a fact, management always fails, and it's not something that can be trained out of him. It is something that is deeply intrinsically part of him, and it's emotional, right? Like we can work on it, we can improve it, we can manage it, but like I know I'm never going to cure him. If I do, it'll be like the day before he dies when he's an old man. You know what I mean? Or he'll just get tired and stop caring, you know? Right. And the thing is like, I am much more comfortable thinking about euthanizing my pets because I've euthanized a lot of dogs I've loved through APA. I've had to say goodbye to cats that just were old or sick or whatever, and I didn't want to. It was before their time, so to speak. But also I've helped so many clients, and I know Courtney and many other trainers have too, deal with the difficult decision of what to do. And like rehoming a dog like B-Town, that's basically any time that he's had with me is essentially just bonus time that he had because nobody else would keep him for how severe his behavior is. Nobody. Mm-hmm. He would not be, he's not a safe dog at all.
No,
I've been keeping him and everybody else safe, right? With all the training, all the muzzle conditioning, everything. So, you know, my husband though is not in the same boat at all. Lee's motto is, what would Steve Irwin do? Because, like, if a crocodile bit him, he'd be like, oh, crikey, you know, and he teaches his fucking kids, like, don't do that to a crocodile. Here's how you handle them, right? And I'm not worried about the newborn stage. Like, yeah, I am a little bit like, I'm probably going to get sleepy and bump into him or whatever. But, like, no, I'm not, because if I can manage that, right? I can put him in a kennel and he doesn't come out at all. Even if he's curious about why the baby's crying, like, I close his kennel, even though I haven't closed his kennel for years. He just loves sleeping in there. I'm much more concerned about when baby gets mobile, and especially when baby turns into a toddler who's self-centered as fuck and wants to touch the dog. But, like, at the same time, we do also have Ricky. So Rocky, we call him Ricky all the time, you know, who's going to be like, who's done great with kids. I've had him around tons of kids. He's going to be a very gentle, sweet old man. But, like, B-Town's only going to get grumpier as he gets older, and especially once he starts developing pain. And there's no amount of anxiety meds or anything that's going to help him. He'll just fight through it, but B, he doesn't have anxiety in the traditional sense. Right. He has a split second knee-jerk reaction to things that make
bites
him
first,
threatened.
ask questions later.
Yes, exactly. Which is one of the things I love about him, because that puts him in a, like,
he's a tenacious, he's a tenacious little shit, and it's really fun sometimes.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I can attest to, like, you have tried to give him outlets, you have tried to respect his boundaries, you have tried to work through it.
I've tried to force him through it. I've tried to respect him. I've tried to do everything. And, like, you know.
And there have been improvements, and there always will be. And sometimes you'll improve a little in this area and things may get worse in another area. And then it'll go the other direction. You'll just kind of bump back and forth against those walls until the end of B-Town. Yep. I mean, is there a chance you'll land in a soft middle? Maybe, but, like,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. And I can also attest to rehoming a dog like that is nearly fucking impossible. And
not good either. Like, no. I wouldn't feel good about putting a dog like that out in the public.
Because people don't believe things till they see them. So a situation I've been in is where I got a client gave up a dog and I took it because I was going to fix it and help it and rehome it. And I did, and it got better, you know, and then I found some people and they liked the dog. So the dog went to them and they didn't believe me because they didn't see the issues right away. So
because you had worked on it, because you had boundaries in place, and because.
Right. So over time, they stopped following the rules I gave them. And guess what? The issues came back, and then they didn't want the dog anymore. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that dog ended up being euthanized. Because it is really hard to find homes for dogs like that. Because anybody who thinks I want a dog, the next sentence is not that has bit people. Like it never is. And if it is, if you're that person that's out there that's like, I want a dog that's bit people, and I want to just work around its issues and love it for who it is and let it live out the rest of its days, fucking call me, because I have some dogs that need homes.
But you also don't have kids, and you also don't
have cats, and you have experience with every single breed, and you know what I mean? Like those people are few and far between, and it takes a very special kind of person with a special kind of lifestyle to fill that role, and they're not looking.
Yep.
Or I don't know where to find them.
Yep. And I'm not willing to traumatize my child either, right? Like, I don't want my children to be afraid of dogs because of a bad incident. Like, I want them to respect dogs, but I don't want a negative incident to shape that mentality, right?
And I think a lot of parents feel that way.
Right. Exactly. And honestly, I love him to death. I really do. He's like a dog that has taught me so freaking much. I will never have another dog like B-Town. Like, not in a million years. Why are you groaning? Rocky's making ghost noises for some reason. I think he's hungry. But I'm looking over at B-Town right now because he's asleep in his little bed. But yeah, so some of the things that I'm kind of thinking about doing and mentally preparing, because I understand that Lee's not ready to make that decision or talk about it, and it's really hard to think about, you know, and it's hurtful, but it's 10 times hurtful if you're not prepared for it and you're not mentally ready for it. So some things we're going to do is we're going to go back to using place and like being strict about it. Right now, I just tell him to hop up on stuff just to kind of like get him out of the way for a second. But like if he leaves, I'm not like, place, you know what I mean? He did that for a long time. And I was very, very hard on him in terms of like strictness and being like too militant and having him do it too much. That was the biggest part. So like starting to set routines, like, and I guess not a perspective, but like recreating what I know is going to happen. So for instance, my vet told me, because he had a checkup recently and got some vaccines. She was like, I know this sounds really weird, but like get your phone, play some baby noises from like YouTube or something and like swaddle it and like carry a bundle of blankets and pretend like you're carrying a baby. Right. Like that, I don't think my dogs need to do. Like they're pretty resilient in terms of that kind of stuff. Like I don't think that's going to be a problem, but I know a lot of dogs do get freaked out about that. And they're used to kind of me changing my routine a lot. So I'm also not worried about a source of stress coming from that, but I do want to put routines in place that I know are going to happen. So for example, I'm going to have to change my baby's diaper a lot. And from everybody that I've ever met, both clients, friends, family members, etc., you buy a changing table, but realistically, 99% of the time, when you're at home,
shit wherever you are.
Change that shit wherever you are, and we're probably going to be in the living room a lot. So if I'm going to change baby's diaper, or if baby's going to have crawl or tummy time or whatever, Boston's going to go to place. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sit on the floor and pretend I'm going to have to practice at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So especially because I'm thinking about doing cloth diapers and it's a little bit different.
Ooh. But
yeah, so like, you know, you're going to have to do things. So like every time I fold laundry or something like that, I'll do that. I'll recreate that image. It won't be exactly the same, but it'll be similar enough to where my dogs will understand the context, right? Other things I'm going to do is be a lot more strict about like boundaries and out and that line in the sand, but also kind of make it fun, because I've just sort of been telling him to do it, but then he tests the boundary because he's like, this is kind of fun testing the boundary. Mm-hmm. I don't ever make it like a fun event or anything like that. I just lean on it and then yell at him 3 times and then he finally does it, you know, and I'm not going to want to yell at him 3 times.
No. What if your baby's asleep?
Right. The other thing I'm going to do is go back to doing some e-collar conditioning, just start really basic, fun, just basically like 3 months of just tap and treat and tap and play and whatever. And that kind of like, I don't need to do it that long, but I want to, just because I want to make sure that it's not associated with the baby, right? Like baby comes, e-collar and rules come back. So like, as soon as we move into our new house, I'm implementing all those rules. Like I could do it here, but honestly, I'm very preoccupied with like the house buying process, downsizing, and then eventually packing, plus being pregnant and doing baby shit and like making sure I get all my tests and like, you know.
Yeah, I always tell people when they move, it's a great time to reset boundaries. Just even if your dog is really well behaved, like why not have a reset? Right.
Yeah. It's an easy thing to take advantage of because it's a natural change in everything. And if the scenery changes, it's kind of easy to expect that other things will change as well. Right.
The dog is in a new environment. So it's looking for the new patterns and the new changes.
Yes.
If you don't give it instruction, it will make up its own and be like, this is what I do here. So some problems that it had at the old house may get worse at the new house, you know?
Yep.
But they can also get a lot better. So,
as far as barking, because B-Town's a barker, Rocky barks some, but not really. Like it's more like if somebody rings the doorbell or something. Doorbell, I'm not worried about. There's easy ways around that. Like get a, ring or one of those type of things. So you can like program it to not ring in your house, or you could, honestly, I'm just kind of planning on, or like put signs on the doorbells that say like, please don't ring. If you wake up my baby, I'll murder you.
Yeah. I've seen those.
But honestly, I'm not worried about it. I kind of feel like my kid will learn how to sleep through that shit anyways. And if I can already shut it down pretty quickly if I need to. I just have to be more like.
Did you ever see Wendy's sign on her door?
Yes.
I don't remember what it said, but I remember it being fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact words, but like.
But it was a good one.
Well, it was really funny. I'll have to text her and ask her because I need to make me one.
Yeah.
The other thing too is like Boston has like ritualistic barking. So he gets really excited around meal times. Mm-hmm. But like by that point, baby's going to either still be up or already awake. And it's like we feed him around our schedule. So it's not really a problem. So yeah. What else was I thinking about? We're going to try to maintain walking schedules as much as we can, just because like our yard's going to be smaller, but also exercise is super important when you're pregnant. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like
it's important at all times.
It's always important.
Always, for everybody, for everything, including your dogs.
Yep. And like, I can be a zombie and walk my dogs. That's fine. As long as somebody else is keeping the kid alive. Oh, that's another thing.
Oh, they also make these things called like strollers.
Right.
You can take your kid.
Right. So that's the other thing is thinking about like acclimating my dogs to walking with a stroller. But the funny thing is I've been doing that for years at like anywhere that has a shopping cart when I take my dogs in public. Either I'm actually shopping or I'm just, I do it with just for funsies because I do it with client dogs all the time just to fuck with them and like give them a new context and stuff and distract them a little, that kind of stuff. So I don't foresee that being a problem. They already don't pull really. Boston does a little in the beginning, but he's like 15 pounds. So I'm just pop him and he goes flying.
Top notch dog training advice, Misha. Top notch.
Yeah, right. I know. No,
we take this shit super seriously.
So freaking serious. Other than that, I'm not really like kind of overthinking it at this point, just because like my dogs already do have a lot of training. I don't foresee like having them hold a sit be too handy, but I'm still going to work on it just because like if I don't have place, that might be a nice like sitter down could be a good replacement for that.
Are you going to get a puppy? Because you were shopping for a puppy for a long time. And, we were all really excited for your puppy. We being me. I hope the listeners were also excited. But
no, let me explain why.
You don't want to get a puppy and a baby at the same time.
So here's why it could be a good idea.
Some people think it's a good idea.
Here's why it's a good idea. It's a good idea because there's like several weeks where you have to wake up in the middle of the night and take your tiny ass puppy out to go potty, especially if you get a tiny breed dog, right? Which I want a smaller breed because their bladder is even tinier. And it kind of depends on like the potty training from the breeder. Like some don't do it at all. Some half-ass do it in the sense that like they have an indoor-outdoor area. Others like just, hardcore do it. So, you're already waking up to like feed the baby. What's one more step of letting the puppy out for a second,
Okay. If I ever meet someone that tells me they have their newborn baby and their puppy on the same schedule, I'm going to be fucking floored. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm going to be so amazed at this person. Because that just sounds like such a level of like clear-headedness.
Yeah.
Of like, obviously I need schedules for stuff.
Here's the thing, though, is your puppy is going to, and the cool thing, I guess, too, is that your puppy is going to progress much faster through the like not sleeping through the night phase than your baby will, because your baby's still going to need every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hour feedings, and like your puppy is pretty quickly. I mean, within a few weeks, like you could easily go to just letting him sleep through the night and transitioning pretty quickly into that because they develop pretty fast. But more often than not, people like just feed their baby like half asleep in their bed or like sitting up in our like rocking chair, and like you're not going outside. You're not freaking lucid enough to pay attention if your puppy shat or not, and then like, yay, good job. Like, you're not going to do that shit. That's exhausting. You're going to be saying. You're going to be like, dude, that's tomorrow Misha's problem. Like, or that's later.
I'm not walking
Lee's
all the
problem.
way to the back door right now. That's in my tiny new house.
That's crazy. But also it's just like, that's a lot. Like, I wanted to do a lot with the puppy, and I just don't think it would be fair for me. I just know myself. Like, I know my limits and I know my boundaries. And I've never had a kid before. So I don't want to do it. Like, I wouldn't even want, like, let's say we got a puppy the day I found out I was pregnant, I wouldn't want a 9-month-old puppy either. Like, that's still too rambunctious. That's still too young, not mature enough. Like,
That's the worst age if you asked my opinion.
I agree. It's
which
the most.
You didn't, but I'm going to give
the
it
most frustrating. It's the most frustrating stage, right?
Yeah, 9 months. 9 months is when you're really being
sucks.
tested of if you wanted this dog or not.
And the reason it sucks is because, like, your puppy learned a ton of cool shit up until that point, and they were awesome. And this is when they turn into that bratty, shitty little teenager that knows it all and is like, I'm going to do this. This is my personality, me, right? But it's not. You just have to work them through it and go back to, like, basics and be like, no, when I ask for this, you're going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, you'll still get your reward, even though you're being a little shit.
You have to stay patient and consistent.
And that's just too hard. Again, when you have a newborn, being consistent with another creature
and patient,
that, like,
patient and consistent. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, I would snap. I would snap and yell at the puppy or something stupid like that. Like, I just know myself. But yeah, no, like, I think if I had a 2-year-old dog, I'd be down, but like, no, it doesn't sound fun. I'll wait until my baby is like,
yeah, I was going to say
trained.
at what age? Oh, that, yeah. So like, that's your like marker of once the baby's potty trained, you're ready to take on the,
I think so. I think so. Because like, by that point, they're also mobile. By that point, like, they'll soon be going to school, that kind of stuff. I mean, of course, potty training's different for everybody. And like, what if my kid has like some bladder condition or something like that? But
no, Misha, this is written in stone. I'm going to hold you to this. The day you're texting me and you're like, she peed in the toilet, or if, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm going to be like, all right, getting a puppy tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to hold you to it.
And even then I might be like, fuck that. I'm waiting till my kid's in college. Or whatever they want to do after high school. So I'm not gonna hold my kid to that. Anyways, that's a totally different topic. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. We're back. We're officially back. Thanks for being patient with us. Sorry that we were kind of MIA. We posted on our Patreon, but we don't have any other sources to post on, so we're just like, they'll figure it out.
Also, if you're not on our Patreon and you didn't know what happened, maybe you should be on our Patreon, because then you would know what happened, right? If this ever does happen again, you'll know what's going on. Just saying, stay informed. Stay informed, guys.
Stay informed. So thank you guys for listening. If you guys have questions, remember you can email superseriousdogpodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to patreon.com/superseriousdogpodcast and find us on there, support us, etc. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.